would like to invite the Yoram Ginsburg, who lectures in Ariel universities, and as Caroline says, you have to start with practical ways to get sovereignty. And we went to Yoram, and we remember him from in Shdema, in the lecture in Shdema. There he spoke about Temple Mount, and what is more natural. Let's not jump to Temple Mount. Let's start with sovereignty, and then we move to Temple Mount. And Yoram will move and work on this issue. And we came to Yoram, and he got excited more than we did. He got us with his excitement, and he built, and is starting now to build a practical plan to enact our sovereignty. And as you could see in the movie about it, when I was young, in my citizenship classes were in school, in non-religious school, when I studied, also the teachers of them, and also the students were proud, very proud about Israel. Since, for 50 years, we go from a change for the not good change of losing our criticism of ourselves. It is unnecessary. What we see is the effect of the clutch and diesel. We're going away from everything. We're apologize for everything, like the Arabs and the Palestinians are in the process. And until Trump came, thank God, and as Caroline said, we must go, kick away the move of the Palestinians and all the criticism outside, and create a hope, a real hope in Israel, thanks to the process that Yehudit and Nadia started, which called sovereignty. I want to note something. What is in reality sovereignty, and what afterwards we'll get to the point that I will try to explain to you and describe what's going to happen in regards to the plan number 100 that I created. I would like to read to you something I wrote 2 years ago for the sovereignty newsletter number 4, or maybe number 2. To understand what is sovereignty, I read. Sovereignty is the right of any entity to have the permission that is conclusive on a certain geographical area or on a group of people in a certain time. The sovereignty is having the right to have laws and defending itself from inside or outwardly forces, according their interests of that entity, who should not have legitimism from any other entity. So I repeat this thing. According its interests, that should not consider any legitimization that is outside or internal, that is outwardly. What does it mean? I have a right. I have a right for something or another. It doesn't matter what other thinks. Not about me or about my situation. I make the decision of this game. Lincoln said something very beautiful, that slavery is not a situation realistic. It's a situation that the slave accepts his situation as a slave. If the slave decides that he's not slave, and he's not going to be a slave. And this is why we have to get out of this paradigm that is sick, that we are asking ourselves with the question, is somebody acknowledge us for some reason? And we really, it's against what Trump said. I'm for it, of course, but why? We're celebrating the Balfour Declaration for 100 years. Who's Balfour? Who's Balfour? Compared to Avraham Avinu or Moshe Rabbeinu? Who is he? The acknowledgement of us is not dependent on other people. We have to be, in a deeper sense, to teach the citizenship. It's not geography plain. This is our nation. This is ours. The mob in Italy is called in Sicily La Cosa Nostra. What does it mean? The things that belongs to us. Cosa. La Cosa Nostra. Which means, it happens to be, I've been 12 years in Italy, so, and I was part of the mob, the Sicilian mob. So I know I'm still a wanted person. So what the La Cosa Nostra means is the idea that says that I handle everything because they are my issues. Before the rabbi said in a beautiful way, why in actuality we need to have Judea and Samaria? Is it because of economic or security? No, because it's ours. If I have a connection to something and it's mine, I contend to, it belongs to me. I am the owners of this. And because personally, I feel the owners of Eretz Israel, the complete Eretz Israel, and not just on the west of the Jordan, I will do everything during my life in order that we will be sovereign on the place that in my possession in the simplest way, that there's no other way. It is mine. I'm the owner. Let's not forget the Hashemites came to Jordan. That was taken away. It was taken away. 75% of the area of the British Mandate was taken away from us for a nation that didn't belong there and never lived on the eastern side because for political reason. And he contends to ownership on the eastern side for all the people, the workers, Palestinian people that came due to the Zionist project to Israel and became what they are today thanks to the Zionist operation in a land that was never a capital, but the only people that were there is Israelis. That during it wasn't under Jewish power, even flowers didn't grow or any growth. I want to go from here to something that in my eyes is very important. I don't know how many from you knows about the animal, what they call the effect of the triple F. What is triple F? We ask the question always like this about the zoology. Against danger, there was 3 instinctive way of an animal. From snakes, bears, or a zebra. One is freeze, 2, and free, and fight. Fight and flight, type of thing. But there's something in zoology that is called the nation of Israel. He doesn't use those 3. What does he do? He says, is making everybody happy, negotiation to make the enemy sleep, prayer, very strong prayer, talk or give a gift. So God forbid they're not going to beat us up. And of course, in apologetics, apology for our existence, and the worst of it is hatred, self-hatred. That is unbelievable. Because psychology-wise, if you're impotent, the first thing that he could do is to blame himself in what something in me is wrong. And here in this, we have to get over. We must move from this, stuttering to go to the zoology idea. And are we freezing like we froze 50 years? Are we fleeing like the left wants to do, the Ashkenazi, the Tel Avivi, from Pleshet says, I am already organizing passports for me, my kids, and my grandchildren. I don't need you guys here. Leave. You are bothering us to get sovereignty. Whoever doesn't want sovereignty here, at least don't harm us. Leave. Whoever wants to go. I want to tell you a short story. I live in, teach in Ariel, University of Ariel. We had this very wonderful thing for architecture that has 70 graduates every year. It's like 1,000 graduates still today. And I'm here, unfortunately, and for my happiness, with the biggest enemies, the police team of Tel Aviv, that is my colleagues, and I asked them a simple question. Are you for having sovereignty in Judea and Samaria? Nah, God forbid. And I always stand there for a test. And let's assume you were in a coma for 20 years. And you wake up. And here, the others, those who have responsibility for sovereignty, did everything. We took C, we took A and B, of course, and you are accepting everything on a plate. Would you like to return Judea and Samaria? And not even one said yes. All of them, God forbid to harm Judea and Samaria. What does we conclude from? As Woody Allen says, are you afraid to die? No. I just don't want to be there when it happens. The left doesn't want to give to be close to our nationalities, but he's willing in afterwards to use it in order for his goodness, that if somebody else does the work. Yes, we are fat. We have something to lose. I look at the young Palestinians, that reminds me of when we were thin and we had nothing to lose but our identity. Each one of us has to arrange their kids and is afraid what's going to happen economically when, God forbid, there will be intifadot and all this. Why? Because we got to a state that the personal I, goes over the collective I. And this is a disaster. I want for one moment to explain in a very argument that I have with Zehava Galon. She speaks all the times about dividing the country because this and that. And I say to her, dear Zava, are you willing to divide your own personal house? No, because this is my personal property. What's the difference between your property and the national property of Israel? Is there a difference? And then she was quiet, because what is happening lately in the capitalistic time, that is the public arena, there's losing the connection between the public arena to and what they spoke about the path of Israel, and we're only dealing with our personal fat, which is disgusting, which is concentrated disgusting. We have to have a diet that means I'm willing to give away some of my personal things, like my kids and going to the army and others, in order for the collective will have a process of solidification, solidarity that is real and truth, and become a very thin and fit nation. I also said to dear Zahava, when a person can host a guest, she didn't have any answer for that. When I'm at home and the house is mine, I can host you. Why? Because it's in my possession. I would love to have to guest any Palestinian that accepted upon himself, to swear to be like the Jews, I like the Arab culture, because I want him to be, this is the culture of our forefathers, better than the shtetl in Poland. I think that we create a situation of coexistence according to sovereignty. Sovereignty of ours that everybody will understand. This is our country. They have 22 other countries 56 other Islamic states. We're one part of 400 of the land of the United States and one of 30 of Texas state. I want to show you something. One of 400. This, you see this little pink area? This is the state of Israel in the United States. See, out of Texas is one of 30. And not to make the Americans angry, I didn't put the Indian reserves that were raped by the white man. Not only that, all the movies of the cowboys until 2000 were always, you have the good guy who was white and the bad guy who was the local, who was the Jew, the Indian. And that's, we're talking about capitalism and imperialism. European that still think that he can control the Jewish people. That comes out all the ethos of the Christianity. The proportions here has to be in front of our eyes every day to understand what are we asking. To divide this itty-bitty thing, God forbid. I want to finish the issue of sovereignty with Tzipi Chotovele. Tzipi was right. Why was she correct? And why is she correct? Not only we are having non-sovereignty internally by the left and the center and all the different organizations that deal with the Europeans. We're not suffering from no agreement as outwardly for us outside of Israel. The UN and all those different organizations are unbelievable. That in a continuous way kicks us out of our connection to Israel. The support that we need from the U.S. Jews, we're not getting it. The Jews that lives there with a lot of security, I expect them to stand behind us and behind everybody who's in the forefront and support us, as it was in the 50s and the 60s, without any reservation, and to teach their youngsters that they're not coming in criticism when they sit there on the meat pot. And the coming out of Tzipi Chotovele, that was not politically correct, but sovereignty is not politically correct. We are going against the politically correct. What's the idea of Tama? You heard it. When Iran was kind of late, he kind of gave up that right, huh? I made a long list of what are the steps from slavery to sovereignty. And I found out something really interesting. I'll read to you. From Holocaust to slavery. From anti-Semitism to emancipation. What's the difference with emancipation and auto-emancipation? Yehuda Pinsker says in 1882, it's not that I won, Napoleon will decide for me 100 years before, prior, that there is a way to give civil rights to Jews like all the Christians. I want that this rights, I will determine that in a level of sovereignty that is emancipation. My own, I want to go to Israel, I want to immigrate to Israel before Herzl. I want to have an independence that I will decide when I'll get to everything. And this is something important, from emancipation to auto-emancipation. All these issues are happening abroad. When we come to Israel, we are looking for independence, national independence. The next step is freedom and sovereignty that is real, to decide, as we just said, that we make the decision making, that we create our order of the day, not thinking about any other person. And then the steps that Tama number 100 is that from the moment that we decide what's the goals, what's the usages, where they're going to be the center of Israel, we decide in actuality and practicality and legally how our sovereignty is going to look. We decide how we're going to organize the home. Nobody's going to tell me that the sofa I'm going to put here or in the corridor. I'm going to decide. How the kids say, you're not going to decide for me. You know how the kids say, you're not going to decide for me. Why is the childish thing is so beautiful? Because when we are adults, we become, giving up. As kids, the instinct that says, I will decide for me. You're not going to decide. When my kids were young, they said, and I was amazed by them. I said, you're right. If you're willing to say for yourself, I accept it. But you have to also take the responsibility. What is Tama 100? And I'll explain why the number and where it came from. Our position is to go to the last step of sovereignty. What does it mean? No more slavery, not what other people say, not politically correct, not to hear others and wait to all kinds of declarations of other people. The important thing is to do the next thing, is to create a space, a living space that will succeed to give the Israeli people 105 years of real living. The next step is, areas of, influence. Israel will become some sort of creation that we have an international influence and power out of the internal influence that they have, and to become a place that is something that makes it's not something that somebody else decides for us. We will decide what will happen in the geographical area around us too, influencing others. And the next step will be the authorita of authorization for moral authority of the world. And this is the future to become Eretz Israel, oasis, an oasis on that is this encapsulated the Jewish entity in Israel to create the light for all of these nations that will learn from the biblical moral, the old moral, biblical, right? How we're supposed to, as humans, to live from slavery to Holocaust to sovereignty, from sovereignty towards the ability to have an international moral code for the whole entire nation and humanity. A few months ago, about 3, they called me Nadia and asked me, would I be happy to plan the national plan, the new national plan for Israel, for the whole entire area. And my jaw fell, and I said, I will do this happily. And it's something unusual in a way of genius way to think. And when you see this plan, think that this tachlis idea is, what does it mean architecture? The architect has to be with the head in the sky, but with his feet planted in the ground. In Latin, project means from the shortcut of progetale, which means pro is forward and jetare means to throw. I throw forward something in order to see how it behaves. That's our, when we do a sketch, and we'll see it in a minute, that's our position to see how I go from current to future. That's an architecture job. That's why I accepted this idea with a lot of happiness and very proud. So what we looked to what's the Tama, the plan, the national plan that is in actuality. Everybody remember the computer things. Remember that, like the past Israel, everything ignores from Judea and Samaria. It goes around it like it's a lake or something. And when we saw it, the three of us, we got mad. As I say, we couldn't believe that only when you see in one picture you understand the absurd. You understand the path of Israel until Yariv Levin created the change, went from Metula, right? And then goes to near Jerusalem, and then goes to the Negev. So the path of Israel goes, the only reason that we're here, that the Tama number 100 comes from the math idea. We're about 70 years after independence in 48, and we hope that in 30 years not only this plan will be concluded, but the putting it into action will finish in 2040. And everything that I'll show you now is supposed to be within a year to close as having as a plan. That includes everything, not only contrary to what Caroline said, it will be A, B, and C, because all those areas, A is not our place. We must come and be in Hebron and Shechem and Der Chavot, and we'll get back home. Finally, we'll get home. And this is why the question is being asked. What is happening for us as planners? What the simplest thing is what people did before us. And we try to see what from all the big questions that we have in the plan for all over, where will be the centers, the city centers, where everything will be, the transportation, what will happen with the idea of selling in the nature, what will be, are we going to be near the rivers, how many airports are going to be in Israel. What we decided is to study what we have. Afterwards we could have puke and hill, but we have to see what was done till now. The next step is a revolution. It's not evolution, it's changing. Every person that we spoke to at the beginning, and we understand the technical ideas, you're going to add Judea and Samaria to the current Tama. We're going to have the nation of the state of Israel to Judea and Samaria. The idea is different. We didn't succeed to bring up to the mountain Joshua and the judges and all the period where the main heaviness was in Shiloh for 369 years. This is the time of settlements, but we're not going to wait 369 years. We have 30 more years in order to this plan to be in practicality, national and physically. And we continue the action of all these people that, took over, did some of it in the settlement. So 700,000 Jews around it. Are we talking about million? We're talking about, and I'll explain, that in the mountain there'll be 10 million Jews. The entire Eretz Israel, there's about, in 2048, in all Israel, that we can bring back all the people that left, 2.5 people, 2.2 million Israelis left, and the education department in Israel, and left us 2.2 million. We have about 6 and 7 million Jews that slowly are intermarrying. And the Tama, we're supposed to understand how we get everybody back home. When we look at this here and we say, we didn't get still home, what are the issues, efforts, so we can bring everybody to settle here and have sovereignty, full sovereignty of the Israeli nation on the whole Israel. Let's look over here. Very, very twisty life. This map here is a map that is a little bit old. You can see Sinai is already released. Judea and Samaria already ours. This map is from 72, before Yom Kippur, the terrible Yom Kippur War. And it shows us the settlements in purple. See how small is Tel Aviv, Pleshet, over Haifa, the Golan, and the parts is Judea and Samaria and Jerusalem, as an addition to Israel that should be according to the division plan outside of the borders of Israeli sovereignty. What in reality we want to do? We want to do to make the whole Eretz Israel ours. As Rabbi Yehuda Levi says, my heart is in the east and other part is in the west. Everybody who sits in the lowlands, as we see the little Herzl statue in Herzliya that sits on the water, that has his back to Jerusalem and his face to the Mediterranean. We want to take and listen to these numbers. 3.5 million citizens sit in Gush Dan. Out of almost 60% of the Israeli people are in the center. If we add after they lost the war in Salahuddin, this area from Haifa to Ashkelon sits 75% of the citizens of Eretz Israel. We want to do, in the first step, is to do everything to go from the lowlands. It was foreign to us. It's not a part of the ethos in the Bible. We don't see Amos, the prophet Amos, in Herzliya, or Yeshaya walk in prophecy in Netanya. We never heard the part where the prophets gives the prophecy, the places where the Jews were in actuality was in the Bible and area which Big Yetta wrote. The Bible was something very, this connection is to here, to Judea and Samaria. Out of 20 million citizens that will be in the future, in 2048, 10 million will sit from the Galilee to the Negev. What does that mean? That all the Bedouins that took over all the Negev and the Arabs that sits today around the Galilee and is the majority will be a minority. All the cities, the big cities like from Jenin, Tulkamer, Shem, Kalkilia, Ramallah, Bethlehem, and Hebron will be swallowed by cities that will be Israeli cities, in which the Arabs will be a minority, a small minority that will promote in all kinds of ways the leaving of Arabs from Israel to other areas. Whoever will stay here, whoever is loyal to the Jewish idea, whoever is not doing that will be asked to go somewhere else. What does it mean, this 10 million? How is this divided? 5 million citizens will be sitting in Jerusalem and its vicinity. Today we have 900,000 citizens in Jerusalem, including Haredi, Arabs and Jews. As you can see here, Jerusalem, the big Jerusalem, 5 1,000 square feet compared to 125 square feet. It'll include Ma'ale Adumim. We get here till the Jordan River, and there are going to be a little port in the Dead Sea, and the main area, the main port will be what we call to the Ashdod, what we call it Jerusalem, the connection between Jerusalem and Jerusalem itself. There'll be 5 million citizens. Will make Haifa and Tel Aviv as the centers. No more center here. It's going to be, the center will be in Jerusalem and around it. One of the biggest problems that we are not spread right. The idea that Tama 35 says planning the 4 big cities, Beersheba, Haifa, Tel Aviv, and Jerusalem. We want, in reality, one giant one, and that would be, it's going to be 3 million citizens there. But why aren't we settling in all of Israel? Why Katsrin has 8,000 citizens when it could 250,000? Why a city here that wasn't created even, that should be created, 200,000, and why here, down here in this area of the Negev? Why would we leave it to the Bedouin? Of course not. The idea is of our project is the opposite of what is happening today. 93% of the citizens of Israel are sitting in cities. We want to create a different type of spread of cities. There will be many people that live in small cities, small villages, and in settlements that are smaller. And for that reason, in actuality, we have to take over in actual physical staying in all of Eretz Israel. We're 6 million Jews, and we have to triple until 2050 by 3 times fold. In order to do this, we have to increase birth rate, even though in 2 years we passed the Arabs' birth rate, and we have 3.16 compared to 3.11 to family, which is great, and it's wonderful. I have even a son, is the 5 is the 4 before, and the 4 is the new amount of 3 only before. Kids, that means. So I only have 5 minutes. One of the important things that is erasing the line, the yellow line, the green line, to erase it entirely. They wouldn't see it. Where was the green armistice line? How do we do that? From 6 different parts, district that Israel, the western part of Eretz Israel, the north, Haifa, Tel Aviv center, and the Negev. We're going to divide Eretz Israel to 12 different parts for the interior department. The north, the Jordan district, instead of going north to south, they will sit east to west in order to destroy the green line. There will be a Shoman district, go center, Jerusalem of course, and then Judea in the southern part. The center of it will be Hebron, and Negev a lot, and western Negev. No Sinai yet. We need a few more people to add Sinai, slowly but surely. Another crowdfunding for that. Thank you, Nadia. This is the influence area of Israel. In actuality, what we see in pink is capital Baghdad, is Khalid, Cairo, in which there's 20 million citizens, but in the green parts, there was Tel Aviv and Jerusalem and Amman, that were sort of like centers of all the Middle East. In Jerusalem, in this place, will become an area that is not apologetic and has influence that is amazing towards outwardly. The technical ideas of this. I would love to have, we have no time for questions, and we have 2 minutes to finish. If we raise the funds, you'll see the print. What's the idea behind this? In order to create unity in Israel, we have 15 experts. They're not politically identified, each one in his own, from demography until the idea of immigration and until legal and planning roads and everything. 15 people, they're experts, will work with us to give us a draft. What is the chance of survival in Israel according to the 3 paradigms I know? To leave it the way it is, which is this horrid thing. Look at this cancerous thing. This is what is happening now. This is Oslo Accords with areas A, B, and C. This is how we are in actuality. It's always we give our back because we don't want to see the reality. The second paradigm is something like this, God forbid. A Palestinian state in the heart of our territory. And the third and right, correct way that should work is this. What are they going to say that this 15 experts that we chose? Carolyn said will deal later. After every Israel will be, Gaza will become Singapore, become like a port, an area that will be free area for business, and they'll give a future of commercial, but it'll be future. 15 experts. Their job at the first is to give us a report, a real objective report. What is the potential for living survival of Eretz Israel and the nation of Israel according to these 3 ways? So the second step will develop the third model of Eretz Israel, the complete Eretz Israel, in which we ask every single person of this 15 expert to give his input towards everything that is dealing with the research. We'll pick them up together, and in our offices we'll come and deal with the data. Everything, thanks with the money that we're going to collect, it comes out until the end of next year, in 2018, with a plan that we're going to publish, in which we're going to make it available, hopefully, to every house in Israel. Like the Geneva, it came in the mail for everybody, and all this because in order to influence the nation, that we are here only on condition that the whole complete Israel will be ours, and we will plan our future according to that. Thank you very much. Questions later. Thank you very much if this is what happened in Ariel, thank God, this is fantastic.